Well, I vividly remember the very first time I led in a main Sunday service at the church I used to go to, and it was a hot summer's evening, and I rather foolishly made the decision to wear shorts, because I remember, the practice went fine, the band felt good, I was feeling very relaxed, and then as soon as the service kind of started, and I suddenly looked out and saw all these people, my knees just went to jelly, and my knees were just knocking and shaking throughout the whole first few songs, and all I could think about, I wasn't even thinking about what I was singing, what the band were doing, I was just trying to concentrate and locking my knees together because they were just shaking everywhere.
I first learnt to lead worship and play guitar in my bedroom with a CD I had, a friend of mine had given me, of some worship from a festival, and I had another friend who was a guitarist, and I kind of grew up with guys who played a lot of guitar, so I ended up just figuring out the chords and playing along with the CD, and that was kind of how I learned. And I used to kind of really simplify the songs down to one chord mainly. If it was in the key of G, I just played G all the way through, and even though there's like 9 different chord sequences in the song, I used to just go for the one chord because it just used to see me through.
A mate of mine just literally put a guitar into my lap when I was 16 and became a Christian, and he said, "This is a D chord, you can play." And I just found myself finger picking straight away, and it's quite a crazy story.
I started to lead worship as quite a young Christian. Really, I was very inspired by the music around, so it was very natural for me to start to want to play the guitar. And in those days, that was really quite a novel thing, acoustic guitar in a meeting. It wasn't kind of commonplace like it is now.
I had a few guitar lessons with a teacher who taught me chords and rhythm and a whole bunch of stuff, and spend hours practicing. And actually, I guess the main way I learned the guitar in the end was just learning all these worship songs, Vineyard and Graham Kendrick and early Delirious stuff. And so it was through a few lessons, but also lots and lots of hard work and just times hidden away in my room.
First time I led worship was in a home group at my church, Holy Trinity Brompton, and the guy who led the home group was the worshiper, and he was ill that week, so I had to be the emergency worshiper at like half an hour's notice. I only knew one song, which was "He is the Lord and He Reigns on High" by Kevin Prosh, and that has 4 chords in it. And I knew at that stage 2 chords, G and C. So I kind of boldly sat around playing the song for 15 minutes, just playing the 2 chords I needed to get by, and it sounded terrible. And in fact, there were 10 people in the room when I started, and about 3 when I kind of finished, because it was so painful that to go outside to laugh.
I think you can begin, it's like children, you don't discourage children when they're first starting, but eventually they grow up and become adults, and you don't want to have to be helping them how to walk and put on their clothes. And it's the same way with your playing or your singing. You begin, and everyone makes allowances when you're a beginner, but actually it's a high calling, and it's the highest calling of any musician, to use this fantastic gift of music to draw people closer to God in worship. And so we have to invest in our talent, I think. So the simple answer is, you can facilitate worship very simply. We could sing an unaccompanied song now, or I could play one chord, and that might be the thing that leads us into a place of worship. But how much more can we explore the beauty and the majesty and the mystery and the wonderful nature of God by using that gift of music in a way that does just that? It reflects that creative beauty that we see all around us in nature. And it's like, I often think about it in terms of the nature that's revealed, flowers and plants and things. You look at the intricacies of a flower and you think, well, God could have done it with just, one petal or one colour. Yes. But you look at nature and it is this myriad of beautiful, complex design, and we can reflect that, I think, in our worship. And so, a very long answer to a very short question, but I think it's essential really to invest in our gifts, and the more skillful we are, the more of a language we have, because praise and worship is a language. And the language of music reveals different elements and emotions and things. Not that we control people's worship of God, but it reveals different aspects of God, I think.
I was really impressed. I was heard this interview with Chris Martin, the lead singer of Coldplay, just the other day, and he was talking about how his vocal coach was trying to teach him to do something new. And I just thought, that's amazing that here's this guy, one of the biggest bands in the world, everyone loves his voice, and yet, he's been doing it for X number of years, and yet he still having regular lessons, and that really challenged me. So I think, man, I've got to take it a bit more seriously. So yeah, I think it's very important that we never get complacent, and we never think, right, well, now I can play the guitar, I'm done. But actually, we always can get better.